All right, is everybody here?
Okay,
We are live. Good evening. I'd like to call the Village of Lake Park Park and Recreation Commission meeting for July 27th, 2020 to order. Would like to thank all of you that are viewing on live stream on YouTube. The North Carolina Legislature recently changed their rules such that if you hold a government Zoom meeting, you also have to live stream so that the community can join the meeting. So this is a first for us. We may have a few glitches here, so we ask that you bear with us. But I want to thank Angie and Cherie, who have worked very hard to get all of this coordinated with Zoom and YouTube. And so we hope everything goes well. Our public comments this evening, we had one person that emailed in a public comment. This is from Norris Jeffrey on Balsam Street. Norris states that I have 3 issues that need to be addressed. First is Canada geese. The number of adult Canada geese and their young in Lake Park have increased dramatically and need some attention. Apparently some geese are nesting near but outside Lake Park and are not subject to the egg addling program that we operate. The pond in front of my house has multiple groups of Canada geese, adults and their youngsters during day and night. During the day, some are leaving the pond area and feeding in grass areas in both public areas and private yards. A few do leave and fly away in the morning, but I do not know their destination. Perhaps some green laser light and small dog and toy boat harassment is needed. Secondly, sidewalks. Many of the sidewalks throughout Lake Park need cleaning. They are filthy. I just paid to have the sidewalk in front, side, and rear of my house cleaned, along with the short sidewalk and concrete benches in the small park area behind my house. Someone had painted over the tops of the benches, but they got most of it off. As a related issue for this same area, there used to be a lovely group of shrubs in what is now a large area of mulch and few plants behind the row of shrubs and the concrete benches. I do not know which landscaping company is responsible, but this is a common area and should be cared for by the Village of Lake Park Landscaping Company. Lastly, Mr. Jeffries says figs. I have several fig trees in my side yard on Sages and they are ripening now. If you like figs, you are welcome to stop by and pick a bowl full. You may need a short ladder to reach some of the higher up, as some of the lower ones have already been picked. Cheers, Norris Jeffrey. Just a couple comments in response, and then I'll let the commission speak if they would like. We did do the egg addling program this spring. The other way to control geese is through running dogs and trying to make the geese uncomfortable in the village. We looked into this a couple of years ago. There's a company called Goosebusters, and their cost to run dogs and also included the egg addling was around $5,000. This may not be the year with our budget constraints to look into that, but it may be something we want to consider in the future. As far as sidewalks, of course, individual homeowners are responsible for cleaning the sidewalks in front of their property. A year or 2 back, we did pressure wash some of the sidewalks in the common areas that were loaded with geese droppings. The problem with that, within a couple of weeks, we were right back where we started. So if any commissioners would like to speak to these issues, please feel free at this time. I would encourage commissioners to take a look at that little common area that Mr. Jeffrey is talking about. It's at the corner of Sages and I forget the other street right off the top of my head. But there's a little common area that has a couple concrete benches, and I'm not sure of the shrub issue that he's referring to. I'd have to take a look at that myself. Okay, let's move on to approval of minutes. Each of the commissioners were sent in a packet from Cherie last week. The minutes from our last meeting. I would entertain a motion at this point to approve the minutes as presented to you. And
This
please
is Will.
state-
I
Okay, please state your name when you make the motion. Thank you.
make a motion. This is Will.
Okay, Will has made the motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
This is Julian. I second.
Julian has seconded. Okay, all those in favor, again, state your name, or I can call roll. Jeremy,
Yes.
Will,
Yes.
Julian,
Yes.
and Joe.
Yes.
The motion has carried. Next, we have changes to the agenda. You have the agenda that was mailed out again by Cherie. Are there any requested changes to the agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
This is Will. I make a motion.
Will has made the motion to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Jeremy will second.
Jeremy has seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye, starting with Will,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Julian,
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Moving on to council actions. At the last council meeting, council approved the watering of the trees, the new trees, by Lucas Landscaping up to $3,500. And this would be for July, August, and September. They also unanimously approved the appointment of Joe McCauley as a new Park and Recreation Commissioner. Would like to welcome you this evening, Joe.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 6 on the agenda, the budget report. This is a snapshot of the budget as of June 30th. There are still a few items that have not been recorded that were invoiced for work done in May or June, but invoiced after we received the invoices after July 1st. So our finance officer will be updating some of those invoices into the final report for fiscal year 2019, 2020. But we did come in under budget on all items. So commend you for that. And you have received in the package that Cherie sent out, you have received the full detail of the budget. Are there any questions on the budget?
No.
Okay. Moving on to events. Angie is in the conference room with me. Angie, can you speak to the Bloodmobile event?
I think so. Can I hear you? Can everybody hear me?
Can you hear Angie?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you'll speak up.
Okay. So the results from the July 12th One blood drive that we hosted out here, they collected 49 pints out of 63 bookings. And they are saying that each blood donation can save up to 3 lives. So that means 147 patients could benefit from the efforts of the blood drives that we held in Lake Park. So they were super, super excited. I think it went seamless. They were in and out, no mess, no fuss. It went perfectly. They had it down to a science with how the donors checked in. They checked on everybody because that was one of the hottest Sundays we had had. So I think it went great. They are wanting to hold another one in September. However, we did receive an invitation from the American Red Cross. And we have a tentative date for them for September 27th from 1 to 6. They're working with Central Church to see if they can use their gym or their building because they'll have a bigger facility instead of bringing a bus. If American Red Cross doesn't reach out pretty soon and confirm, I'm not against going back to One Blood and saying, sure, let's go for 9/27. If commissioners agree with that, I think it was the best blood drive. And I've held many for the schools and everything, and the One Blood was perfect, in my opinion. So you guys had already approved an American Red Cross blood drive on September 27th. I don't know that it really needs to be discussed which One Blood or American Red Cross. It would be the same thing.
Are there any objections to letting One Blood come back if the Red Cross does not want to come in September?
This is Will. No.
Red Cross will not use it.
Julian, no.
No, no objection, Jeremy.
Okay, all right. So if the Red Cross cancels, then we will approve One Blood coming back. Okay. I'll speak to item number B. Was there anything else on events, Angie?
Just an FYI, HOA has canceled all of their events for the remainder of the year.
Yes.
They have nothing going on.
Okay, yes, big one is that the HOA did cancel the fall festival and have it.
Yeah, Mayor,
Yes,
probably need to get, it's on our website. I saw this morning. We probably need to update that, get that off there. I don't know if we're gonna plan to do anything for Christmas or not, but the fall festival was on there also.
okay, we will update the website for that. Thank you. And I don't think we've decided at this point about Christmas tree lighting. I think
Right.
we still have hopes that we may be able to do that.
Sure.
It doesn't sound like the HOA would be doing carriage rides or anything in conjunction with that, but.
Right.
So, okay, thank you. Regarding the July 4th ice cream social, unfortunately, we received a notice just before that event that we were staying in phase 2 of the coronavirus guidelines. And the Lake Park Cafe did not request reimbursement for the ice cream that they had ordered for this event. Unfortunately, they did order this just before we announced that we were going to have to cancel. But I feel that since we did ask them to go ahead and order ice cream for this event, that it would only be fair that we reimburse them for their cost, which is $320. Again, the Lake Park Cafe did not ask us to reimburse this, but we have the money in our event budget, and it's my recommendation that we would reimburse this. I would ask Joe McCauley to recuse himself from this vote and this discussion, but I would entertain a motion at this point to reimburse the Lake Park Cafe $320 for their cost on that.
Yeah, Mr. Jeremy, I'd make a motion to reimburse them for the cafe $320 for that event.
Okay, we have a motion from Jeremy. Is there a second?
This is Will. I'll second.
We have a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye, starting with Will.
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Julian.
Aye.
The motion has carried. And we do thank the Lake Park Cafe for their willingness to support that event and to participate in that. Hopefully we can do this maybe even later this year, certainly again next year. All right, moving on to item number 8, pool and tennis court. Good news is we finally did get the lights installed for the pools and tennis courts. You can see on your screen a picture on the top, which is the pool in daylight. And you can see the picture on the bottom, which is the pool in the evening after dark with the lights on. It certainly appears that the lights are adequate for nighttime use, but we do need approval from the county before we can actually open the pool for night swimming. We are working with the pool management company, CPM, to get the county out here in the evening for an inspection. But I would like to get the feeling from the commissioners as to if, assuming we pass the inspection, what do you want to do about opening the pool in the evenings? We had previously discussed opening it on Friday and or Saturday night until 10 p.m. Is this still your desire, or any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think we should. I mean, I think that that's kind of what we had planned to do. I've only been to the pool once this season, but I've talked to several members who bought the passes that I don't want to say are upset, but expressed little concern over the Sunday evening closing early. So, you know, I don't know the feeling of commission if you wanted to try to do Fridays and Saturdays till 10, or just Fridays, or do Fridays and add an hour or two back to Sunday if that's when people want to go to the pool but they can't. Also, you know, it's middle of the season, if we don't want to change that, I understand that too, but just throwing that out there is a possibility. It looked like we missed we've been through 8 weeks since the pool opened. So in essence, we should have like 8 days of credit, if you will, as far as we've canceled on Sundays 2 hours early.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I did some math. You could do, it'd take 12 days if you did Fridays and Saturdays, or if you did Fridays and Sundays till 8. But anyway, I'll be quiet and listen to everybody else.
Well, I looked at the calendar too, and if we leave the pool closed at 6 p.m. on Sundays from June 1st to the end of the season, we'll actually end up with 14 days or 28 hours of pool closure. And if we are able to, say, starting this coming weekend, open the pool both Friday and Saturday night until 10, that would be, I think, a total of 12 days. Yeah, that'd be a total of 12 days. So we actually would have more quote unquote credits than we would use if we opened it both Friday and Saturday night. Any other thoughts from commissioners?
This is Will. I mean, the amenity is there now that it has lights. As long as the social distancing still takes place, I'm all for it. I mean, I'm willing. I'd vote for Friday, Saturday, and extend the hours on Sunday. You might as well try to catch up on usage of it for the residents.
Julian, what do you think?
I was thinking as far as the continuation or open up on Fridays and Saturdays. I did not consider additional hours on Sunday. Just wanted to know what that looks like as far as the 14 days, or the 14 days compared to 12 days, if you calculate in the additional hours on Sundays. What does that look like?
I'd like to ask
So
staff.
right now, Friday and Saturday, yes.
Pardon?
I'm good. I'm good with Friday and Saturday. Didn't know about Sunday.
Okay. Joe, do you have any thoughts on this?
Will the lights be on regardless of whether we're open or not? I guess
No.
that's, no.
No.
So
Only-
it's only if it's open?
Correct.
Okay. So that's an added cost?
Yes, it is a slight cost. These are LED lights.
Okay.
I don't know exactly the wattage, but I know they're on a 15 amp breaker, so it can't be too significant.
So I guess it'll just have to be a trial and error of, do people, come out that late?
Yeah. I think it would be a good test for next year if we opened it both on Friday night and Saturday night for the rest of the season. We could get a feeling for how many people actually are interested and come out. And that might help us in making our decision for the pool hours for next season.
Sounds good to me.
I got to step away and plug in my laptop. Okay, I'm back. So the consensus I'm kind of gathering is we should, if the county approves the lighting, we should open for the remainder of the season on Friday and Saturday nights. And
Will, yes.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
Julian.
Yes.
Would someone like to make a motion to do that?
This is Will. I'll make a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Julian. Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to open the pool for Friday and Saturday evenings until 10 p.m. as soon as the county approves the lighting for evening operation. All those in favor signify by stating aye, starting with Will.
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Julian,
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Similarly, we now have lights on the tennis court. Interesting situation there. It's on a separate breaker or separate switch. I had a request from some of the pickleball players last evening if they could play after dark. So I set the timer on the tennis court lights to come on at dusk and to automatically go off at 10 o'clock. There's several issues involved with that. I don't think we want to automatically have those lights come on every evening at dusk and go off at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock, whatever the decision is. Because if nobody's out there, there's no reason to have those lights on. The other thing that happened last evening was about 45 minutes or an hour after the lights came on, the skateboarders arrived and started skateboarding on the court that wasn't being used. The pickleball players asked them to leave. They did not, and I got a text saying that they were up here, so I came up and asked them to leave. So that is a concern that certainly if we have the lights come on and nobody's there, it's certainly an invitation for other types of activity on the courts. Another option is to just have people, when they want to come up and play tennis or pickleball, to go over to the switch panel and just manually turn the lights on. And of course, then we're relying on them to manually turn the lights off as they leave. There are a couple alternatives there. We could replace the existing timer with a timer that allows you to set 15, 30, 45, or 1 hour increments on the lights, and it automatically shuts off after that period of time. So if somebody wanted to come up and play for 45 minutes, they could set the timer to that, and the lights would automatically go off after 45 minutes. That is a fairly simple fix. That timer would fit into the existing panel, and we would just replace the programmable timer that's in there. A little more complicated solution is to add that type of timer into a separate panel and leave the existing timer there. Excuse me. Leave the existing timer that's there to turn the lights off at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So if anybody came up at 9:30 and wanted to play for an hour, the master timer would override and shut the lights off at 10 o'clock. The other consideration is how late do we want the courts to be available in the evening? One thought I had is maybe during the summer, we could leave the courts available until 10 p.m. and during school year, limit it to 9 p.m. So with all that said, I'd like to get some feedback from commissioners and what your thoughts are.
All right, this is Will. Just a couple thoughts. I think that as far as access to the timer goes, or to be able to turn on the lights, that it should be on a permission, if you will, so that it could be locked, say with a lock box nearby with a key that can open up that to be able to go in and turn it on. That being said, it would require somebody calling in and asking for the code for the access box. I don't think anybody and everybody should have access to be able to just willy-nilly turn it on and off. I understand what you're saying as far as the timer turns off at 10 or 9 or whatever the time is, but as far as turning it on and off, I don't think everybody should have access to it.
Yeah, Will, we can put a combination lock on there with a code that we could give out to people that ask for it. So we wouldn't probably need a separate lock box, but go ahead, sorry.
No, that's it. Just I've seen kind of things done like that before, and once you see someone, if somebody wants to use that, your skating group as an example, to come in and they see how somebody goes in and gains access to the box and turn it on, then it just becomes a free and open range for anybody to use it. So
Yeah,
I think it needs to be controlled.
yeah, I would agree with you on that, Will. Any other thoughts?
I think there's going to be some enforcement. There'll have to be some enforcement no matter what you do. If you put a lock on it and you give the code out, eventually the code gets out, but probably slower than just leaving it open. The municipal courts I've been accustomed to being involved with have that system you're talking about, Mayor, with a master timer that cuts off at 10 p.m. There's no access to that, but then it's got the 15-minute increment timer that the user goes up and turns it on for 15 minutes or a half hour, whatever. And then in an hour it goes out. I had thought about that when the email came out, that was probably a decent plan, but I knew it would take a little bit of infrastructure probably to make that happen. But I wouldn't be against going the lock route if that's what commission wanted to do. But I think, eventually your code gets out, it gets out.
Well, of course, we can change the code on the lock, if
Sure.
it becomes public information. What are your thoughts about the hours?
I was glad you didn't say that the residents came out over there. I thought that's what you were going to tell us earlier, that the residents came out across the street. Does
Right.
it shadow onto those houses very bad, or is it tolerable?
I think there's enough tree coverage there between the courts and the houses that I don't think it's a problem, but I have not had any conversation with the 2 or 3 houses that probably are affected the most.
Yeah.
Uh,
I would be fine with your plan of 10 o'clock and, you know, in the summer and 9 o'clock in the winter hours or school hours, whatever, however you worded it. You know, and then if we see that we've got people knocking down the doors wanting to go in December at 9 o'clock, we can revisit it and make a
Yeah.
change.
I did look into the park regulations, the park ordinance, and the Park and Rec Commission does have the authority to set hours for the parks. And it does not require a change to the park ordinance, nor does it require council approval. So, you know, we can set the hours. I think we would need to post them on the tennis courts, that these are the evening hours that are allowed. And we could start out with a combination lock on that panel over there. And try that, see how that works. If it becomes a problem, we could add a additional box that cuts everything off, you know, at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So
Is the panel you open safe? I mean, I only ask that because sometimes you open a panel and I wouldn't want it. There's nothing exposed in it. That's what I'm asking,
No.
I guess.
all you see are the two timers, and you press the center of the timer and turns on,
Sure.
press it again, turn off. You can flip a little panel in there, and then you can go into the settings where you can set the hours on, hours off. You can have it dusk to dawn. You can change the hours for days of the week, all that. It's pretty involved, but the simplest thing is just to let it be manual, on, off.
Right.
And
Yeah.
have access to, with a padlock. And we could, you know, try it that way for a while, see how that works. And if we have to change our mode of operation, we could.
Sure.
So,
I was going to actually, I'm a licensed electrician, so make the suggestion of putting a timer in, like you had said, David. That's the perfect solution to the problem. The master time clock, that should be locked. That shouldn't be to the general public to go in and mess around with settings or anything else like that. And if it's a remote enough, you know, you just run a pipe over to somewhere that, you know, people shouldn't be going to the main electrical panel. They shouldn't be going to the master time clock, just to like you had said, just a timer that's got, you know, 0 to 60, you know, dial that makes it very simple. They turn it on. I think putting a lock, I think that's going to be a lot to keep up with, changing codes all the time, because honestly, unless we're going to police who we're giving access to, even these young kids that want to skateboard in the park, are they going to be given access if they ask?
no.
Okay.
Because the skateboarding is not allowed on the tennis
Okay.
courts nor the basketball court.
Okay.
So that's a violation that, you know, deputies can enforce if the deputies are there, or any Park and Rec commissioner or council member can enforce that as well.
And that was the last thing that I was going to say too, with, you know, the local Lake Park officers patrolling, you know, that should not be happening anyway. If they weren't allowed to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's start out with putting a lock on the box that we have there now, because we don't have a separate box with a separate timer. So, and let's post the hours for summer and school year on the gate of the tennis court. So I guess to make it official, we would need a motion to put a lock on the tennis court lights and post the hours of operation of 10 o'clock during the summer and 9 o'clock during the school year. Is there a motion to do that?
This is Will. I'll make a motion.
Well, from sunrise till 10 during the summer, sunrise till 9 during the school year. Will has made that motion. Is there a second?
Jeremy, a second.
Jeremy, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye, starting with Will.
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Julian,
Aye.
Joe.
Aye.
Motion is passed. Um, I think maybe for our next meeting, we could get a quote to put that additional 60-minute timer on there, so we would know what we are looking at if we decide to proceed with that. So, any other discussion on the pool or tennis court lights?
Mayor, I have a concern.
Yes.
I already get calls about people skateboarding on the tennis court. During the day, I run them off, or the deputies run them off. I'm very concerned that you're gonna open a can of worms as soon as you light those tennis courts. And in the evening, when you lit those, is there enough light that goes over to the basketball court?
Well, it does increase the light over there, but quite frankly, just from the street light, there's lights over there if somebody wanted to go over there and skateboard, or even in the past, we've had people after dark go over there and shoot baskets.
Right.
This does increase the lighting over there. Even though the lights are directed onto the tennis courts, there's enough side light that it does increase the light over there a little bit.
Because, we regularly get calls about kids on the basketball court after dark.
Yep, I know. I get them too.
So, I get all kinds of emails on that. So I'm just expressing my concern.
Yeah. No, I understand and I appreciate what you're saying. I've been up there many evening and had to ask usually teenagers or young men to abandon the courts because it's after dark. So we'll continue to monitor that and hopefully it doesn't become a bigger issue.
Are there signs there now? Sorry.
There is a sign on the back of the courts. I don't think there's a sign at the front of the courts. I'm trying to think where the other sign is that indicates that the parks in general close at dusk. I don't know if anybody recalls that. I know there are signs at various locations, but probably not in the most obvious, which is off the street as you would walk up to the courts. I know there is a sign on the tennis court by the gate that says that no skateboards or roller wheels of any kind are allowed on the court. I had to point that out to those youth last night. But
what about parks hours of operations that after a certain time?
Well, all common areas and parks close at dusk. They're dawn to dusk. And that is posted in various locations. Again, I'm not sure where the exact sign is, but I think that may be something we want to look at as far as making it a little more obvious for the basketball court. So we can look into that. Okay. Any other comments?
This is Will. I've got a question. So regarding the tennis court, is that first come, first serve? Anyone enter in there and play, or are people calling in, Cherie, as far as reserving it?
We do not reserve the courts. It is first come, first serve. We do ask if people are waiting that you limit your play time to 1 hour.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay, moving on to facilities. That little area that Mr. Jeffrey was referring to that does have the 2 concrete benches. For some reason, one of the benches, the legs had collapsed. There was really no serious damage to the legs or to the bench itself. And with the help of a couple of people from Lucas Landscaping, we were able to lift the bench back up and cement it to the legs. That's just an FYI. The storm we had a week ago, not this last Saturday, but the Saturday before, we had tremendous side wind and we got some rain that came in. Jeremy, do you want to speak to this?
Yeah, so the best I could tell, I went up in the attic and climbed up in the cupola, and the four corners, well, I guess there's actually 8, but the 4 that were leaking previously that Mr. Murphy repaired all seemed to be holding out fine. I didn't see any active water leak there. There are 4 small vents in the 4 main sides of that cupola, and I think we just had so much wind-driven rain during that storm that it blew in from there. It was wet around those vents. Cherie, had you noticed anything prior to that storm? Had you noticed anything in the vestibule there?
No, sir, we had not had an issue until that storm, but we
Yeah.
also even had water coming in underneath the door in the
Yeah, the
river
back-
room.
Yeah, the back door. I don't know, Mayor, if you went in there that night. I saw you up there.
I did not, no.
So yeah, and Cherie, I think we've talked to maybe Eddie before or other repairmen about that door,
Yes,
but
we have.
maybe it's hard to figure out unless it's raining of exactly what it's doing. I'm not sure, but it was a significant amount of water in there. I know I mopped with the mop that night and eventually had to use a towel that was in the floor in the ladies' room to try to get it dried up, because it was not an inch, but probably a ½ inch of water halfway out in that room, in the community room.
Jeremy, there's no weather stripping under that door. You can see the light under the door. If you stand in the center,
Okay.
community center, and look out towards the pool, you can see the light shining under the door. There's just no weather stripping under there.
Yeah, I'll have Eddie look at that too. And if that's the case, then I'm sure that's where all that wind-driven rain came into. There actually was rain. There was water almost the far side of that room. If you walked in and you walked all the way to that wall that's
The window,
parallel to Kraft, it was almost to the window at the front of the building at one point. I mean, it was unbelievable, to the point that I thought one of those windows had leaked, but I couldn't find any water around the actual front window. Not saying it didn't come in there, but it was just a significant amount of water in there.
Oh, are you talking about the door in the community center rental room?
Yes, they're going to
Yes,
go
yes,
through
ma'am.
outside.
Yes, ma'am.
That one has a crack at the very top where the arch window is. If you reach up there, there's a gap from the door frame and the actual door.
All right, I'm making a note. You must, Angie, were talking about the back door, about the weather stripping, because I saw the lifeguards had put towels down there that night. Is that where you were talking about?
Yes.
I got you. I'll have him look at both of those. Yeah.
And have you been in touch with Eddie about the ceiling repair?
I was going to wait until tonight to see for sure. I mean, I think we should fix it. I mean, unless you guys differ. Like I said, I went up there. I'm convinced it's not the same rain. It's not the same issue. And my goodness, that was significant weather that night. So I will, if that's the pleasure, we'll certainly get him to make that repair.
Yeah, absolutely. We need that.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
This is Will. Jeremy, at work at our new building at Eaning Power, I've seen on one wing of our building, the side that's facing west, where we get a lot of rains on that side. What construction-wise, what ended up, I don't know if this was part of the project or how. At any rate, there was this, for lack of a better word, there's this strip that is on the outside frame of the doors to prevent water from going into that side of the building. It just looks like next time I'm over there, I'll say about sending you a picture.
It's almost
But
like a
it
rubber
just-
flashing or something.
No. This is actually metal.
I got you.
And it's screwed on the outside of the door all the way around the frame. And it's just, and then it has the rubber gaskets on the inside, but this is just another measure of preventing water from seeping into that side.
Yeah. I also thought, I don't know if this is a good idea or bad idea. So we've got those large garbage cans upstairs. I've got plenty of plastic. I'm thinking about just laying down a layer of plastic up there upstairs in that general area that would help at least stop something like that from happening. If it would puddle in the right area, you know what I'm saying? It couldn't hurt anyway. If anybody sees an objection to that, I might just do that myself this weekend.
Do you think the area is small enough that we could put a washing machine pan either on the rafters or up closer to the actual cupola?
We might could get something. The area to get up in there is just so small. You know, it's about an 18-inch square hole to go through. And then it runs down, and then that cupola at the bottom has a floor in it. So you stick your head up through that 18-inch hole, and you got that floor around you. So it's hard. It just wherever it runs to. You know what I'm saying? You don't know exactly where it's going to run to or not. I'll take a better look this weekend and see if there's a better option than plastic. That a washing pan liner would probably would be good too.
Yeah, just anything to minimize damage to the ceiling.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir. Helpful. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Jeremy?
Yes, ma'am.
Before we move on, if you don't mind, while you're here, it's time to change the filters. And I've got 3 places we change filters. If I lay out those filters, will you change those for the heating and air conditioning?
Yes, ma'am. Be glad to.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to the kiosk. We finally had people come out and sandblast the kiosk. The picture on the left is what it looked like after they sandblasted it. Was quite a shock to see it almost white. And then the next day, the gentleman came out and painted. Near as I can tell, it looks like he did a very good job. He was very neat, did a good job of cleanup. So now we have to decide what kind of glass we want to put back in the 5 panels. We've talked about what's in there right now is plexiglass. I think we have previously discussed either going back with plexiglass or going with Lexan or going with tempered glass. Several months back, I had gone to Monroe Glass in Monroe, and they estimated $100 per panel to put in tempered glass. I did not get a price from them on doing Lexan or plexiglass. I did take one panel completely apart, and I was able to get it back together again, but it's no small task. You got to get the gasketing back in there and get everything lined up just right. You got to take out some pop rivets in the corners. So it's no small task. Thinking, perhaps we could do it ourselves. Certainly could not do it ourselves if we go with tempered glass. Tempered glass, as you are well aware, I'm sure, is the same type of glass that's on your side windows in your car. If a rock hits it, it will shatter. That's probably the only risk of going with tempered glass. But tempered glass does not fade, does not cloud over, which is a problem you would have with plexiglass or even Lexan over time. So wanted to get your thoughts on how you wanted to go about replacing that glass. And then once we get the glass replaced, we'll look at replacing the cork board inside there. So any thoughts on plexiglass, Lexan, or tempered glass?
This is Will. I would prefer tempered glass myself for a number of reasons.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's going to hold up longer and not cloud up. So I think it's a good plan. In general, the thing looks really well. I looked at it when I was walking by earlier in the week, and it looks real good. They did a good job.
Okay. I'm not sure of, like I said, it's been a couple months since I talked to Monroe Glass. So I guess we could entertain a motion to spend up to $600 or something to put in tempered glass on the kiosk. If that's your pleasure.
This is Will. I'll make a motion, spend up to $600 on tempered glass.
Okay, is there a second?
This is Joe. I'll
Jeremy,
second.
Joe got it. That's good.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
I'll second it. This is Joe. Yep.
Okay, Joe. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Might need a little assistance in taking out the doors. Thinking, Joe, if you're up at the cafe some morning or evening, maybe we could take those down. Yeah. Would you be available for that, Joe?
Yeah, I'd be available. I'm at the beach right now. I'll be back Thursday,
Okay,
so I should be able to do it Thursday.
okay. Yeah, we'll just touch base on that and try and get that done. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by stating your name, starting with Will.
Will, I.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Julian,
Aye.
and Joe.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay, I put this up just as planting a seed. We've had discussions through the years, probably going back 5 years or more, for the possibility of putting a picnic shelter in Russell Park. I was on a conference call with some of the other park and rec directors in Union County, and the gentleman from Marvin said that they had recently put up a picnic shelter in their Eford Park. He sent me a picture, and then I asked him how much it cost. He said it was total cost was $18,000. Obviously, we don't have it in our budget for this year, but just wanted to give you some food for thought. Maybe if there's interest, it's something we could look to budget into our next fiscal year. Any thoughts on that?
Where would this go, Mayor?
It would go out into Russell Park, beyond the playgrounds, beyond the basketball courts, somewhere out in an open area over there. We do have picnic tables over there now, but there's no shelter. So it's just a thought.
Would
What
you
size is it,
envision
Mayor?
possibly? Oh, go ahead.
Excuse me, go ahead.
I was just curious as to what size is it?
Good question. I don't know if he sent me that information or not. I'm gonna say it's probably 16 by 20 or something in that neighborhood. I'll go back and look at the information, see if I can find that.
Would you envision a situation, Mayor, where you'd be able to reserve that, for an hour or two at the time, or you would just leave it open for first come, first serve, or have you even thought into that?
Well, I'm thinking we could do the same as we do for the gazebo in Russell Park, where you could reserve it,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
what do you think?
I think it would make a nice addition out there. I mean, I know several other municipalities have similar size shelters, and for $35 you can reserve it for 2 hours or 4 hours. I don't remember the exact numbers, but and then if nobody's in it, it's first come, first serve. But if somebody wanted to reserve it, not that it's not gonna be a moneymaker by any stretch of the imagination, but it could, it could pay for the maintenance over the years.
Yeah.
I would I clearly, you mentioned earlier the budget, and Goose Busters is probably not something to look at this year with the budget. But if we get halfway through a year and this year and we have done well in some of our other areas, I wouldn't be against trying to do something in this fiscal year. I mean, I think it would make a nice addition to the community. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. I know one concern that Cherie had expressed was we have no running water out there and we have no bathrooms. So, of course, that's the same situation we have over there in Matheson Square with the gazebo.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
but anyway, I just wanted to, since I got that information, I just wanted to share it with the commission. Okay, let's move on to item number 10, landscaping. We, as I said, we do have the lights now for the pool and the tennis courts, but we had to clear out quite a bit of the shrubbery and trees between the pool and the tennis courts, and they did some excavating, digging in there. So we need to finish cleaning that up, and I've asked Lucas for a quote to put mulch in there, and you should have received a copy of that, $805. That if we wanted to do that, it would come out of the mulch budget for this new fiscal year. Any thoughts on that?
This is Will. It definitely needs something in there. I drove by today, so I would not be opposed at all for mulch.
Okay. You'd like to make that a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Jeremy will second.
Okay, any discussion on that? All those in favor signify by stating name, starting with Will.
Will, aye.
Jeremy, aye.
Jeremy, Julian,
Julian, I.
and Joe.
Joe, aye.
Okay, motion is carried. Last thing on landscaping is the storm damage that we had, again, a week from last Saturday night. We had some fairly good sized trees come down in the village common areas. A couple of them were potentially safety issues, and so I did contacted Kiker Tree Service Sunday evening and asked them to get this on their schedule. They were very responsive. We're out here, I think, on Tuesday, and took down trees and removed trees that had fallen down, ground some stumps. I felt their total charges for all this was a little higher than normal, but they did give us priority service, and they were some few pretty good sized trees. So we did get an invoice today for all of that, which actually exceeds our $1,000 limit, but again, it was a safety concern. So the total for all of that was $1,375, and I would like a motion to approve that.
This is Will. I'll make a motion. Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second?
This is Julian, I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Julian. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the tree work by Kiker for $1,375 indicate by stating your name, starting with Will.
Will, aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Julian,
Julian, I.
and Joe.
Joe, aye.
I did go back and look at the budget based on our tree work that we had last fiscal year. We did up our budget $1,000. Hate to start out the year by using that much of it, but a lot of our trees are, especially Bradford pears, are going to be a problem in the future. Motion is carried. Are there any other issues that Park and Rec Commission would like to bring up this evening?
There was a holdover from the last meeting about the bench donation. Mayor, any update on that from the resident or anything?
Yes, we had a resident that had wanted to donate a decorative bench down at Veterans Pond in memory of his wife who recently passed away. I spoke to him a couple weeks ago. The gentleman is actually moving out of Lake Park, and he said he would stand with his commitment to donate a bench, but if there was hesitation on the part of Park and Rec to purchase a second bench, which the bench builder required 2 benches on to make it economical to do the work. He was okay with withdrawing his offer. So unless there's concern from the commission, we can consider that a dead issue.
Sure.
Okay. Any other concerns, issues? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Jeremy will make a
This
motion.
is Julian.
Okay, Jeremy has made the motion. Julian, would you like to second it?
This is Julian. I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by stating your name, starting with Will.
Will I?
Jeremy,
Jeremy, aye.
Julian,
Julian, I.
Joe.
Joe, I.
Okay. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you for participating via Zoom, and for all our guests that were watching on YouTube Live. Thank you. And the meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.